The life you stopped building, the person you were at 20 had a direction, not a plan. Just a feeling about what your life was supposed to mean. Somewhere between then and now, you quietly agreed to let that die. There are two kinds of people who watch a video like this. The first kind watches it, nods along, maybe feels something for a few minutes, and then goes right back to whatever comfortable numbness they were living in before. The second kind watches it and cannot go back. Something shifts. Something breaks open, and life, the actual shape of their daily life, changes permanently. I do not know which one you are yet, but by the end of this, you will. Let us start with something that almost nobody says out loud. Most people are not living their lives. They are managing them. There is an enormous difference between those two things, and the gap between them is exactly where your potential is slowly suffocating. Managing your life looks like this. You wake up, you handle your responsibilities. You scroll for a while. You sleep. You repeat. You are not miserable necessarily. You might even have good days. But deep underneath all of it, there is this persistent, quiet feeling that something is missing. Not something external, not a better job or a different relationship or more money. Something internal, something that should be driving you but is not. That feeling has a name. It is called divergence. The distance between who you actually are and who you are in the process of becoming. Here is where it gets uncomfortable. That distance does not stay the same. It either shrinks or it grows. Every single day, you are either closing the gap or widening it. There is no neutral. There is no maintenance mode. Staying the same is just falling behind in slow motion. And most people, when they actually sit with that truth, realize they have been falling behind for years. I want you to think about something specific. Think about the version of yourself you imagined at 15 or 20, or whatever age you were when you still thought anything was possible. That version had a picture of what life could look like. Not a plan exactly, more like a direction, a feeling, a sense of what mattered. When did you stop moving toward that? I'm not asking to make you feel bad. I am asking because that moment, whenever it was, is the most important moment in your entire story. Because that is when you made a trade. You traded the discomfort of growth for the comfort of certainty. And at the time, it probably felt reasonable. It might have even felt responsible. But comfort is the most expensive thing you will ever buy. You pay for it with your potential, your aliveness, your sense of purpose. You pay for it every single morning when you wake up, and the first thing you feel is not excitement, but dread. Or worse, nothing at all. Here is what the research on human psychology actually shows us. People do not regret the things they did. Not in the long run. What destroys people in old age, what keeps them awake in their final years, is the things they did not do. The chances not taken. The voices inside them that they silenced because the outside world felt too loud and too scary and too judgmental. You will regret your inaction far more than your failures. Failure, at least, means you tried. It means you were in motion, and motion can be corrected. Stillness just becomes a tomb. So what does it actually take to change? Not surface-level change. Not reading a book and feeling inspired for a week. Real change. The kind that rewires you at the level of identity. It takes one thing that most people are never willing to give. It takes willingness to be temporarily worse before you are permanently better. Every significant transformation involves a period of disintegration. The old version of you has to fall apart before the new version can form. This is not metaphorical. This is neurological. Your brain literally has to break existing patterns before it can build new ones. And that breaking process feels like failure. It feels like you are going backwards. It feels like proof that you made a mistake. Most people stop here. They interpret the discomfort of transformation as a signal to retreat. And then they go back. And the gap widens a little more. And the feeling of divergence gets a little louder. And eventually it becomes white noise they have learned to ignore. But some people push through that wall. And what is on the other side is not what you think. It is not some permanent state of happiness or certainty or confidence. What is on the other side is clarity. You know what you are doing and why. You know what you will tolerate and what you will not. You know which relationships drain you and which ones fuel you. You stop performing your life for other people, and you start actually living it for yourself. That clarity is the most valuable thing a human being can possess, and it cannot be bought or downloaded or given to you by someone else. It has to be forged, and the only forge is the fire of your own discomfort. Let me be direct with you now, because I think you came here for honesty, not comfort. If you keep doing exactly what you're doing right now, not just in terms of habits or career, but in terms of how deeply you're engaging with your own existence, where will you be in 5 years? Not where do you hope to be? Where will you actually be based on current trajectory? Sit with that question. Do not flinch away from it, because that projection, that honest look at the future you are currently building, is either going to motivate you or devastate you. And both of those responses are useful. Even devastation is useful if it moves you. The people who watch this and do not change are not bad people. They are not even weak people. They are just not ready. And readiness cannot be forced from the outside. Something has to become more painful than the change itself. That is the threshold. That is the moment when transformation stops being optional. I genuinely do not know if you are at that threshold right now. Maybe you are. Maybe you are not quite there yet, and it will take something else, some other experience, some other loss or wake-up call, to get you there. But I want you to consider something. What if this is it? What if right now, today, is the day that becomes part of the story you tell later about when everything shifted? What if you are standing right now at exactly the kind of moment that people look back on and say, "That was when I decided to stop waiting"? Because here's the thing about waiting. It has a cost that compounds invisibly. Every day you wait to become the person you are capable of being is a day that person does not exist in the world. And the world needs that version of you, not in some vague inspirational poster sense. Literally, the people in your life, the problems you could solve, the things only you could create or say or do. They are being withheld while you negotiate with your own fear. So, what happens now is entirely up to you. Not in a motivational speech kind of way, in a completely literal, neurologically real kind of way. The next decision you make after this video ends will either reinforce the pattern of retreat or it will begin to build something new. It does not have to be dramatic. It does not have to be loud. It just has to be honest. Start with one true thing about yourself that you have been avoiding. Say it out loud, write it down, tell someone. Do something with it that makes it real rather than keeping it locked inside a version of yourself that nobody else ever gets to meet. That is where it starts. Not with a plan, not with a strategy, not with a perfect moment that finally feels right. With one true thing, said out loud, made real. Because the person you were at 20 did not need a roadmap. They just needed a direction. And so do you. You still have one. You just stopped listening to it. Start again today. If something in this landed, if you felt it rather than just heard it, do one thing right now. Hit like. Not for the algorithm. Because it tells me this kind of content is worth making more of. And if you are new here, this channel exists at the intersection of human wisdom and AI intelligence. Every video is built around one idea, that the most powerful things ever discovered about the human mind are still sitting in books, studies, and ancient texts that most people will never read. We read them for you, and we bring in what AI has confirmed about what they already knew. Subscribe, turn on notifications, because the next video goes deeper. There is a reason some people cross the threshold and others never do. It is not willpower. It is not talent. It is one specific pattern of thought that almost nobody teaches. That is what the next video is about. I will see you there.